Welcome back. Well, the Waqf Bill has witnessed intense debates in the past 2 days in both houses of the parliament. From the government side, you have had detailed arguments made by Home Minister Amit Shah, JP Nadda and Union Minority Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju. The government claims that the 2013 amendments empowered land mafias at the cost of Muslims and that the current amendments will help India's poor Muslims. The point of contention of the opposition are the Waqf by user clause, which were properties deemed as Waqf based solely on prolonged use for religious purposes, which was removed, and the fact that only a person practicing Islam for at least 5 years may declare a Waqf is also under contention. But what is it that this Waqf bill will do, and will it be a historic reform like Triple Talaq or Article 370 that brings progress in the lives of the 200 million Muslims of India is the big question. Mr. Imran Masood, Congress Lok Sabha Member of Parliament, is also joining us at this point in time. Let's take him on. सर, हमसे बातचीत करने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. वक्फ बिल लोअर हाउस में कल पास हुआ है. सरकार ये कहती है कि ये एक तरह से मुसलमानों के लिए फ़ायदेमंद रहेगा और उनकी जो तरक्की है उसमें इजाफा होगा. आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
क्या ध्यान रखा गया भाई? आपने वक्फ बाई यूज़र को कहते हो कि आपने हटा दिया. वक्फ बाई यूज़र भी आपने जू का तू रखा हुआ है, उसके अंदर आपने क्लॉज लगा दिया. उससे पहले ही बहुत सारी संपत्ति है, जो संपत्ति है सरकार अपनी बताती है, उनके तमाम दावों को डिसाइड करने का अधिकार भी सरकार के पास ही होगा. और वो कब डिसाइड करेंगे? जब तक वो डिसाइड नहीं करेंगे, जब तक वो संपत्ति सरकार की रहेंगी. तो आपने कहाँ क्लॉज हटा दिए? लिमिटेशन एक्ट आपने हटा दिया. सब जितने धार्मिक संस्थाएं हैं वो सबके ऊपर है, लेकिन सिर्फ वक्फ के ऊपर आपने लिमिटेशन एक्ट हटा दिया, जिससे लोगों को लिए एडवर्स पोजीशन का रास्ता खुल जाए. आपने कहाँ हटा दिया? आपने कुछ भी नहीं. आपने तो सारी चीज़ों को बुलडोज कर दिया.
सर, सरकार ने ये भी कहा है कि जो गरीब मुसलमान हैं उनका फ़ायदा होगा इस बिल से. आपको लगता है ये एक सही दावा है?
क्या इसमें एक जगह गरीबी का जिक्र बता दीजिए. किसी जगह क्या हो गरीबी का जिक्र? एक भी जगह गरीबी का जिक्र नहीं है. सिर्फ और सिर्फ जो प्रॉपर्टीज़ हैं उनको खुर्द-बुर्द करने की बात है. इसके अलावा एक जगह बताइए आपने जहां गरीब मुसलमानों के लिए जिक्र भी किया हो कि शिक्षण संस्थाएं खोलेंगे, हम कुछ काम करेंगे, ऑर्फेनेज खोलेंगे, कुछ करेंगे. कुछ एक चीज़ तो दिखा दीजिए. एक भी नहीं है. एक
सर, सरकार ने ये भी कहा है कि कोई गैर मुस्लिम सदस्य वक्फ का नहीं होगा. पर कांग्रेस, आपकी पार्टी ने इस बात पर आपत्ति जताई है. पर क्यों?
देखिए, जो रिचुअल्स होंगे वो रिचुअल जो एज ए मुस्लिम मैं समझ सकता हूँ. वक्फ हमारा एक रिचुअल ही है. जो मुसलमान सकता है वो कोई दूसरा नहीं समझ सकता. मैंने बहुत बुनियादी बात कही थी कि पाकी और नापाकी का फ़र्क भी कोई दूसरा नहीं बता पाएगा. तो जो बुनियादी चीज़ भी नहीं बता पाएंगे तो वो वक्फ को क्या समझेंगे? वक्फ हमारा एक फरीज़ा है जो हमें हमारा मज़हब सिखाता है, हमारे पर्सनल लॉ के अंदर है. वक्फ कोई हमारे लिए वो नहीं है कि वक्फ कोई बहुत वो है. ये जो प्रॉपर्टीज़ वक्फी हैं, ये प्रॉपर्टीज़ गरीबों के काम के लिए थी. इन प्रॉपर्टीज़ को सेव करने के लिए, इन प्रॉपर्टीज से इनकम बढ़ाने के लिए कोई स्कीम हो, कोई लॉ इस तरह का होता वो.
सर, आपको लगता है कि इस बिल के बाद कोई बदलाव आएगा?
मुकदमे की बाढ़ आ जाएगी, मुकदमों की बाढ़ आ जाएगी. लिटिगेशन के अंदर चले जाएंगे, कोर्ट में दुनिया भर के मामले होंगे. बस यही होना है और यही चाहिए सरकार को.
पर सर, सदन में काफ़ी बहस हुई है इस बिल को लेकर, पर आप कह रहे हैं कि जो सरकार है वो किसी तरह इस बिल को ला के जो पहले एक मामला था उसको बिगाड़ना चाहती है.
मैंने जो आरोप लगाए वो तथ्यात्मक हैं. एक भी बात का मेरी जवाब केंद्रीय मंत्री जी ने नहीं दे पाए, क्योंकि तथ्यात्मक बातें हैं मेरी. मैंने तथ्यों के साथ बात की, तो आप एक भी बात का जवाब तो दे नहीं पा रहे हो.
सर, ओवैसी साहब ने बिल को फाड़ भी दिया सदन में. आपको लगता है कि ऐसी चीज़ें करने से जो एक भावनाएं हैं इस बिल से जुड़ी हुई, जो मुस्लिम समुदाय में जो लोग इस बिल का समर्थन भी कर रहे हैं, वो शायद नाराज़ हो जाएं?
नहीं, तो अब बहस ही हो रही है. आप तो संख्या बल के आधार के ऊपर सब चीज़ों को बुलडोज कर रहे हो. आपको जो इसके अंदर जिन लोगों को मुसलमान वोट की चाहत है वो पार्टियां भी साथ हैं, चाहे टीडीपी हो, चाहे जेडीयू हो, चाहे दूसरी और पार्टी हो, दिगर पार्टी हो.
चलिए सर, हमसे बातचीत करने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. All right, let's bring in our panelists as well. Mr. Desh Ratan Nigam, political analyst, is with us on the broadcast. Firoz Bakht Ahmed, former Vice Chancellor of the Maulana Azad University, is with us on the show as well. Mr. Ashwini Mishra, political analyst, joins us on the show as well. I'm going to start off with Mr. Firoz Bakht Ahmed. Sir, you just heard the Congress parliamentarian who went on to say that the only change that this bill is going to bring or induce is that it's going to have an influx of litigation in courts, and that's about it. It is not going to affect the common Musliman on the ground. What do you have to say to that, sir? And I please request you to tilt your camera, sir. We won't be able to use you if your camera is not tilted.
Okay. Am I visible now?
There you go, sir. Please respond to my question now.
No, I have heard your question. I'll answer it. You see, most of the problems of the Waqf board have occurred during the phase of Congress, 55-60 years of Congress. What they actually did was, all these years, that they gave this land, to their loved ones, to their near and dear ones, and those people in the form of the Waqf board chairman, Waqf board members, Waqf board mutawallis, and many other officers, once they were part of the board system, Waqf board system, they frittered away these very expensive lands in the price of peanuts. And let me tell you one thing, what Congress is saying, has no meaning. It's all humbug. What they are saying, it will begin a hornet's nest of litigations. Not at all. This bill actually has been democratically passed by the parliament, by the one house of the parliament, and then Rajya Sabha also, it will be passed. And then if the government wanted it wanted to pass it by force or by something, certain other means, it could have done it earlier in 2024. But they formed, some JPC, and it is given a total quality time so that whatever objection was there, those objections were raised, and finally it will pass. Now, to say that it will raise many objections, I don't think this would be the right thing. The opposition, including the Congress, now should request the government that now this bill is passed, try to uplift the Muslims. Muslims have been cheated in the name of Waqf board, and almost all their properties have been, encroached.
All right, so there seems to be a problem with your connection. Let me rope in Mr. Deshratan Nigam into this conversation as well. Mr. Nigam, it's been a very intense 2 days of the Waqf bill being passed in the Lok Sabha. Of course, it's up for contention in the Rajya Sabha as well. But the fact of the matter is that there are deeply dividing lines here, and those lines are political in nature. Am I right, sir, in that observation?
Well, Vineet, in fact...
what I mean by that, sir, that they might not have any basis on ground. They are only hypothetically political.
Vineet, anybody who heard Kiren, Rijiju and Amit Shah in Parliament yesterday, immense amount of clarity based on facts, logic and law. And nobody can deny that those facts or logic. The fact remains that there was a standard operating procedure of grabbing land by way of user and then declaring it or saying it's a Waqf property, which was happening all over the place. And it happened in Bed Dwarka, it happened in Surat Municipal Building, it also happened in Tamil Nadu village, where the entire village was also declared as a Waqf property of a 15-year-old temple. I can go on and on and on. But the fact remains, what this present bill has done is to do away with the draconian section 40, which was creating Waqf by user. There is no concept of Waqf by user. It has to be a donation, a gift, a voluntary gift in Islam to be used as a religious and charitable purposes. And Amit Shah clearly pointed out, you can only donate what is yours. You cannot donate somebody else's property. And therefore, user is a concept which they have taken from, adverse possession civil law, which is not applicable here, which Imran was talking about. The fact remains, Mr. Imran clearly made certain representations. He says limitation has been done away with. Instead, limitation of 1 year has been in the bill has been increased to 2 years. And secondly, user, he says it has not been done away with. It has been done away with because that was the most draconian and was creating a lot of problems. Muslim men and women's properties were also being taken under that garb, and therefore they were also suffering a lot. Many complaints had come and suggestions, lakhs of suggestions had come, of which humongous numbers were from Muslims also. And therefore, this standard operating procedure of using, occupying open spaces, public lands, government lands, offering namaz, and then making some constructions on it or dargahs on it, and then, by user creating waqf on it, that is not even permissible in Islam. Therefore, these are clearly, brought out in this fact. What is being done in Parliament is politics. And the jurisdiction of the courts, which was done away, civil courts and high courts, which was done away in the 1995 Act of 2020, 12 or 13, the issues had arisen. You can't do away the civil courts or the high courts jurisdiction. Here, the Waqf Board had become the final authority, and the tribunal's decision could not be challenged anywhere. So these are the things which is very important. We are in a democracy where we have a robust judicial system, and the final arbiter of any grievance or dispute is our judicial system. It cannot be given to a particular community to decide about one's own dispute in their own favor to promote Waqf. That cannot happen, and board had the power of unilaterally declaring, doing their own inquiry, then becoming a judge in their own cause, which is not permissible under principles of natural justice, nor there is fair play also. Almost everything was bulldozed out there, and the tribunal's orders were finality. No challenge anywhere. So therefore, and these two bodies were created in the Waqf Act, and the objective of the Waqf Act was to promote the Waqf and to manage. The fact remains, you cannot promote Waqf and then become a judge in their own cause. These are the fundamental mistakes which the previous Congress government has been doing. These are basic principles of law. Any kindergarten lawyer can also tell you that. Therefore, to do politics and to, oppose that Section 40 should remain there, it's kind of creating anarchy in the country. These people are promoting anarchy, oppositions. They had no logic. The fact remains that logic was thrown away to the winds. Please talk. They were undermining the judicial system. The acts like Societies Registration Act or the Indian Trust Act were negated by this Waqf Act without being declaring those two acts as ultra vires to the Constitution. Those acts exist, so they could take over the trust or the societies and make them compulsorily registered as a Waqf. These were the things that cannot be permitted in a democracy, a secular country, where there is a judicial robust system, there are acts passed by parliament, and this Waqf Act of 1995, as amended subsequently, was in direct contradiction to the principles of natural justice and fair play, one. Secondly, the existing acts, which are there, like Societies Registration Act, Indian Trust Act. So it negated all those acts and allowed the influential, the mafia, the Bhu Mafia among the Muslim community to take over the Muslim lands, Hindu lands, government lands, just by user declare it, which is not permissible in Islam. It is a donation, voluntary donation of your own property for religious and charitable purposes. Nobody can deny that. So what the people today are doing is politicizing the whole issue without understanding the judicial or legal aspects or the principles of natural justice or the functioning of the parliamentary democracy or the functioning of secularism. Therefore, I would urge the opposition parties not to divide the society, not to create anarchy in the country. That was a bad act from every angle which was there, and therefore amendments had become absolutely necessary. 123 properties just before the elections in Delhi were given to the, for Waqf. Why should you do it? I mean, just to appease. And Muslims also suffered. Huge number of Muslim properties, poor people have lost their properties, and all kinds of things are happening. And this bill is also about gender justice. They have included women in this at every level, even in the board, even in the council, even in the tribunal. So therefore, so women in the Muslim community as well will have a say now. And judicial process has to remain secular. It is not that only a Muslim judge should be there, Muslim member should be there, anybody can be there. Even under the commissioners, under the Trust Act, as Amit Shah pointed out, or under the Societies Registration Act, registrars who hear the matter of Hindus or other communities, nobody demands that they should be Hindus or Muslims. Those are judicial process. Judicial processes cannot be, based on religion. It has to be secular, the way we have our high courts or civil courts or Supreme Courts. They
Fair
decide
enough.
all kinds of matters. So
Let
therefore,
me
we
bring in
must
Mr.
realize
Ashwini
it.
Mishra also to weigh in on what you have said. Mr. Mishra, in all of its likelihood and all the commentary and the conversation around the Waqf Bill is predominantly that of progress, of change, of accountability and reform. Why should the opposition bring in the underbelly of something unnecessarily?
These are pretty heavy words used by current government to put across a narrative that this bill is for the betterment of the Muslim society or for the lower poor class Muslims. But how do I see it is that this bill has a lot of ambiguity. The Congress parliamentarian was telling that because of the ambiguity, there are a lot of chances that the number of cases will increase eventually, and it will create a chaotic kind of thing in the courts. Why I have a problem with the current amendment, what BJP is offering is one, my dear friend Dear Shuttan Nigam was telling that this bill was a draconian and was there from 1995. There was a Supreme Court, there was a review process Supreme Court, there was a constitution body where you can we could have put this to court for a review, which if it was against natural justice. Then when the amendment came in 2013, it was BJP also who supported those amendments. Now, the primary question which I think opposition is opposing right now in this bill amendment is that, one, you are telling that someone who is willing to donate something to a Muslim society cannot donate if it is not practicing Muslim for at least 5 years. How do you identify if someone is a practicing Muslim for 5 years? Are you going to put cameras into their houses? How do I cannot myself prove that I'm a practicing Hindu, because there's no way to prove yourself, and that is where the whole ambiguity is. Any point of time, if someone donates something to Waqf, you can always counter that you are not a practicing Muslim and snatch away that property. If the property doesn't go to Waqf, it goes to government. You spoke about Delhi giving 123 properties in Delhi. There are around 600 Waqf boarded properties in Delhi. 300 is already taken away by government, which comes under DDA, which runs under central government. So the idea is that when you comes up with these kind of recommendations, are you really solving a problem? Are you really bringing in the transparency? Are you really bringing in the accountability? Or you are just creating an ambiguity and chaos and again riding on your Hindu-Muslim voting agenda, which is clearly visible in this bill.
Okay.
If we are talking about structure committee report here also, tell us the recommendation what structure committee has done and what you have incorporated in the bill. There is no transparency on that bill. We are also talking about this whole narrative that people can acquire, Waqf can acquire a property just by an user for a longer period. There is a survey process. The survey officer is from the government appointed. The tribunals can also have different kind of people. In fact, a lot of tribunals doesn't have heads as Muslims in the Waqf board as well. It is all narrative that you are trying to create a Hindu-Muslim divide in the country by bringing in such an ambiguous amendments. That's it.
All right, let me get a response from Mr. Firoz Bakht Ahmed on this. I'll come to you, Mr. Nigam. Let me in fact open Mr. Ahmed as well. Mr. Ahmed, Mr. Mishra is of the opinion a lot of ambiguity in this bill. It's going to do more harm than actual reform on the ground. Mr. Ahmed, so there seems to be a problem with your network. We tried doing this earlier as well.
There is no ambiguity in this.
So your video,
am I audible?
You are audible, sir, but your video keeps disappearing.
No, now is it visible?
Go on, sir. It is.
Okay, thank you. You see, whatever my worthy friend has spoken, that this will create a lot of problems, many cases, litigations, blah blah blah. You see, this bill has been democratically passed, and a lot of quality time has been given to it. To the extent that there was a JPC, so all the objections have been taken into consideration. Now you see this.
So your video is gone again. I apologize, sir. I can't use your comments, sir. Your video has completely disappeared. I'm going to let Mr. Nigam respond to what Mr. Mishra had to say. Mr. Nigam, go on, sir.
Video stream.
Well, let me point out one thing.
Do you
Mr.
think there is
Ashwini
ambiguity
Mishra.
in this bill? There is room
No,
for
no, 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 no. Let me answer 4 points that Mr. Mishra has raised. He says there will not be betterment of Muslims. See, a lot of properties of the Muslims which have been, captured by the Waqf, and a lot of complaints are existing, they would be released because they are illegal. It is by way of user. That's not permitted even in Islam. One. And secondly, the gender justice that would take place by including women at various decision-making processes also will go a long way. Now, third, ambiguity. Cases will come. Cases should come. We are in a democratic society where anybody who has a grievance must come to the court, because people who have captured the land, who have illegally declared them as Waqf by way of user, all things must go. And where do they go? They will have to take redressal of that to the established,
Just see if I'm audible. I've changed my
tribunal and other, courts, high courts and supreme courts, and the cases should come as various kinds of, reliefs are given by the government through legislative process. Yeah, and those legislative process create forums where people go for redressal of grievances. Now, third, this is well within the legislative powers of the parliament. Whether Supreme Court is there and doing its job, it's a separate question. But existence of a judiciary, Supreme Court, does not mean that a parliament cannot legislate its own laws. Parliament can also negate the law, the judgments of the Supreme Court. This is how it works. We all remember Shah case, where the judiciary gave a judgment and the Congress government of that point of time, took away the maintenance given to a Shah or Muslim women. And fourth, I have been this thing that rules and regulations are still to be framed. Who will be a practicing Muslim? This will be defined. This is a broad act. Rules and regulations, as a lawyer, let me tell you, this comes under delegated power of legislation, which is given, and those rules and regulations are placed before Parliament for 14 days for, taking objections to it. If there are no objections, it is taken as passed by the Parliament. So
right,
rules
sir.
and regulations already given in this act that
All right, Mr. Nigam, we have to cut to the Rajya Sabha now.